Well, I appreciate you stopping by for episode 2 of Meet the Streamer. Big assistance to the channel and to everybody else, so thank you very much.
Not a problem. Always happy to help.
So, Toth, just start off real light here. Tell us a little bit about yourself on a personal level. Where are you from? What you do for fun, things like that. Anything simple.
I live in Georgia. As far as fun goes, I do a lot of online gaming, MMOs, survival games, building games, first-person shooters, MOBAs. I've got nearly, by actual count, I've got about 350 games that I have installed, and at various points I play them, just depending on what I want to do.
How,
Go ahead.
no, I was gonna say, how do you get into streaming? How do you get into content creation? What was your motivation for that?
Uh, well, years ago, I did the tournament scene, and that's what got me started. And in the early days of putting content together, I was doing stuff with Fraps videos and stuff from my guild in World of Warcraft. I had one of the largest raid guilds on my server in my battle group. Did that for 5 years and stepped down due to health reasons and kind of went into seclusion, and then came back out of it about a year and a half, 2 years ago. I've been streaming this time around for about 2.5 years.
Have you always streamed on Twitch, or have you tried other platforms?
Twitch is the first platform I've actually streamed on. Everything else was either through private websites I had, or just I'd make videos and send them out.
And what about YouTube? Do you do any type of YouTube content?
I've got a YouTube channel, and usually I'll do highlight reels, or I'll do scenes from ROR or any of the other games I play, and I'll post it up on my YouTube channel. I try to do what I can to help with ROR, because I've always been heavy into Warhammer lore, both fantasy and 40k.
Now, for all the lore fans, how long have you been into lore, and what type of lore do you like in terms of Warhammer?
In terms of Warhammer, there's not really any of the lore I dislike. Uh, I've been into it since the very early day, since Warhammer first became a thing. I mean, my original character was an RP character I had in Dungeons and Dragons, and then I just carried it over to Warhammer and never looked back. So it's been quite a while.
That's
Uh, I'm a little bit of opposite ends of the spectrum with some of what I do, because in 40k I tend to follow chaos. I'm a follower of Khorne, but in fantasy I'm Dowie to the core. Contradictory in terms, I know.
to some that's gonna seem quite obvious. To people like me, I don't know the difference, so you're all good.
Uh, well, basically, it'd be like playing a chosen or something in the fantasy Warhammer, and just the god that I serve is the blood god. I hate the other three. Any chance I can to kill one of their minions, I do so. Anything to earn favor with the blood god.
I'm sure Rav has some opinions on that. He's usually in my stream talking about Warhammer lore. So
I cannot. Nurgle is probably the chief chaos god that I just, if I ever could get a chance to get at him,
okay,
figure out a way to actually physically kill him, I would.
and that is for Warhammer. What version? 40k.
That is Warhammer 40k. Now in the fantasy world, I'm all about the Dowie and the reclaiming of their ancient kingdom and going that route. I do not forget grudges.
Now, just for our lore fans, why do you differentiate between the two?
What, in the lore?
Yeah, like in the lore, for like say 40k, and then
Well, 40k is basically a space aged version of Warhammer Fantasy. Basically, you got almost the same identical races, core races, and then you add modern weapons, spaceships, tanks, stuff like that to them, and there you go.
gotcha. Okay, so it's more of a sci-fi version.
Yeah, that's all it is. I mean, the Empire of Man is, I mean, to put it bluntly honest, if you read the Warhammer 40k lore, which is very dark, and just to put this in context, the creator that created the lore for the Empire of Man based it extremely heavy off of World War II, the Nazi regime. It is that single-minded with what it does. They're pretty much, if you're not human, if you don't follow the God Emperor, you're a heretic and to be wiped out. They literally have a policy of genocide when they come across an enemy. Anything that's not human dies.
I might have to get into that. I don't know. I've tried to get into lore. I just have a really hard time getting into lore itself.
The best advice I could tell you on that: pick one particular race to focus on and go from there. Don't try to get in. Don't try to read every single bit of it all at once, because you will. You'll get lost. And that's what I tell people: pick one particular lore aspect and follow it. And then when you hit like a point in it where you've got a good understanding of it, and it leads, and most of the lore, at some point you're going to interact with the other races, and that's where you'll make the decision: okay, do I keep reading this lore, or do I add this to the mix and see what their interaction is, and you build on it slowly.
Do you enjoy fantasy lore more or the 40k lore more?
Both. I don't have a preference.
Okay, okay. Now, in the terms of Warhammer server, how long have you been on this server? How long have you been playing?
uh the private server, a little over a year and a half now, but it's been a blast so far being back. I mean, I played on original live for a time, and then when they shut the game down, kind of disappeared, and I didn't even know this was going until I saw a streamer on Twitch, and I was like, whoa, wait a second, where do I find this? And as soon as they told me, rest, as they say, is history.
And how long did you play live?
uh about a year, give or take, off and on. I was, at the time, I was in college, so I couldn't play as steadily as I do now.
So you've played the private server longer than you played live.
Yes.
Okay. Now comparing the two, going back, which one do you prefer? If you could play one or the other, which one do you prefer?
I like certain aspects of both. I don't lean exclusively one way or the other. There's some hitches and stuff that the private server has that drives me crazy. And the biggest one is just the way the population shifts so erratically, or it will stay towards one side for a given set of time and then all of a sudden shift back. I'd like to see it be a little bit more even, but I also know, time zones and everything else, people, it just depends on when you play.
And on this server, do you prefer to only play order or do you play both sides?
I have a destro character that was created for specifically one reason, and other than that, it sits dormant. I don't play destro. I'm order main.
You want to say what that specific reason is, or do you not want to?
That specific reason was to do quest text writing, because about 6 months into me playing the game, I got tagged and asked to do quest writing for the ROR game. And I was the one that did the rewrite, and in some cases completely had to come up with the quest text for both factions, at least in regards to kill collector quests. So I ended up doing 22 chapters for both sides, and let me tell you, writing orc text was not fun.
Do you enjoy the PvP aspect of the server, or do you prefer the PvP more?
I like the PvP, but I also enjoy PvE. I'm not exclusive to just one frame of doing things. I play the game because of the lore. The lore is what drives this game for me. If they took the lore out of it, I wouldn't play it, because to me it would just be another PvP battle royale, and I get bored with them after a short time.
Okay, so you are definitely a lore driven person, not a PvP only driven person for sure.
Yeah, I've never, every game I've ever played, it's if there's no story, no context to it, I'm like, this is just another mindless PvP beat on it, which can be fun, but it does get repetitive.
No, I have people on my stream who are now saying they want to leave me and go to you because you were so much like them. I am more of a PvP driven. I do not follow lore at all myself. I'm not lore driven.
Well, to me, the lore is what gives the game its drive. If you didn't have the lore, the whole hatred and animosity between, say, orcs and Dowie, like I said, it would just be pure PvP. And to me, I get bored with that after 20 plus years of gaming, doing tournaments and stuff. And I started my days out in the Halo brackets and on the console gaming. And one of my first tournaments was Halo. Yeah, I got good at it, real good at it, to the point that people hated my guts. And I just, I learned over time that, sticking with one mode of play all the time gets insanely boring.
Well, for all the PvE stuff, I'm going to have you log on my character and do it for me because I do not do PvE at all.
Well, it's like the quest guides that I've done for the cities for Destro and Order. I did them because people were asking for help. They were like, we can't find these quests. And something I kind of laughed about with what Max said in the Q&A, he was talking about how all the time they took to make sure the quests and stuff work in the two cities. They do work, but they are not clearly marked by no means. Nearly half the quests in Carricate Peaks, there's no icon above the NPC. There's no name to even indicate that it's an NPC that you talk to. The only way you find out is if you click on it and actually open the text. So I spent the last 4 months putting that all together, and I posted a link on the forums under Carricate Pete's Quest Guide, which has screenshots and everything, which was my mod who did the screenshots, and I did all the quest writing. I basically went through and systematically made the corrections and then created a current guide so people could go through it. The only thing I didn't do was I didn't put the quest reward pictures in there because it's different for every class. I was like, okay, that's too much. I'll put in there an indicator that there's a reward, but I'll let the person decide if they want to do it or not. So it's nearly 40 pages of quest text and pictures with map chords that you can follow step by step. And I've left it open in such a way so if people come across something I may have missed, because I was fairly methodical about it, let me know and I'll make an update to the guide and get it posted out so people will know. And what I do is anybody that offers information, I add their name to the quest guide so that it shows recognition that they contributed to it. I don't go by how much somebody contributes. I just go by the fact that they helped out.
That's pretty awesome that you did all that work. Do you have a formal, or do you have an actual formal position, a part of the team, or is this all voluntary?
I'm just the person that got tagged to do quest writing. They reach out to me when they need me to do something. Other than that, no, I'm not part of the ROR team. Just to be clear.
Okay, that's really awesome. But you did all that work, all that assistance, and you're just not to sound like just a player, but that's what you are. You're just a player who really loves what you're doing. That's really cool.
That's how I've always been. Anytime I put any kind of effort into something, I put all my effort into it. I don't go into it halfway. It's all or nothing.
Remember, guys, to ask questions in stream if you have anything that you want to know. So, going more in depth about the private server of Return of Reckoning, this server has gone through many iterations of updates and changes. Now, I know you said you've only been here for about a year and a half. So you arrived when cities were basically just introduced. Is that about correct?
Well, when I got here, the only cities was Altdorf and the Inevitable City.
No, I mean city raids. I'm sorry, when city raids.
Yeah.
Okay, so thinking about how city raids used to happen, do you like the new system now to how it is, the queue system is now, or do you prefer how it used to be?
I like that. it's a yes and no answer on this one. I like the way the cities were
Go ahead and ask, Rev.
before in regards of fighting and such as frequently as they were. I do like the fact that like the idea that they did put like a gap in it, so it's every so many days, and you have to take so many. Whoever takes the most forts, basically that dictates what city comes open. The queue system I do not like. I didn't like it before. I don't care for it now. Honestly, I feel that they should open the cities to where they're like a giant lake battle. You could still have the objectives that you could fight over, but it would increase the number of people that could be in the zones fighting. Take out altogether the queuing system and just make it a giant open battle. With the main objective for chaos would be, or for Destro would be to kill the Emperor. For order, it would be to take out the leader of inevitable city. You still have the objectives, still have the same basic idea. You take all the objectives in order, or take enough of them to trigger going at the leader. That to me would be more entertaining, because it would open the board up to more war bands being in on things, instead of it just being select few people fighting in basically a scenario setup.
So, okay, so a question that I have in regards to that type of gameplay would be, now I have not been to Land of the Dead. Have you been to Land of the Dead? Have you tried it out?
No, unfortunately, I've not had a chance to get in. Every time I try to get into it, it's happening at times when I can't be on. So I usually tune in and watch it. I've seen it. A lot of it that I've seen from the perspective of Gravord, Zarbex, and many others is it's a lot of blob on blob fighting, which I don't care for the Zerg, never have, but until I actually can get in and try it for myself, I can't really say.
Okay, so that brings me back to the question about city sieges. And wouldn't what you're potentially proposing end up being similar to what happens in Land of the Dead, or are you thinking about a different system?
Uh, Different system. I like to promote more along the warband fighting, but I like for there to be maneuvering and thinking it out in clear objectives, something to focus on other than just having at one another. Because with the way the system is set up, honestly, the Zerg on Zerg is not very productive. After a set point of time of fighting, if you pay attention to what's coming across your screen, the renown goes down, the experience goes down. It basically gets to the point where it's just not worth it. And that happens usually pretty quick, but people continue to do it. I'm like, I just don't see the point in just continuing to fight when there's little gain out of it.
Okay, so how would you manage to make sure that in your version of City Sieges, you wouldn't have, let's say, one side have, let's say, 300 people and one side have, let's say, 100 people? How would you manage that population difference?
Well, to be honest, I don't have a definitive answer on that one, because I think of it along the lines of how it would be in real warfare. You're going to have times when one side's outnumbered. What makes the difference is what that smaller number does. Now, most people have the mindset, and I see this a lot in ROR, people have the mindset, oh, we're outnumbered, we can't do anything. To be quite frank, that's bullshit. A smaller group, if you know what you're doing and you have a good solid group composition, you can fight larger groups. I've done it with pugs against pre-mades. You can beat the almighty pre-mades. They are not unbeatable. It's just people have this mindset you can't fight unless you outnumber, and that's a mindset that is counterproductive, and it drives me crazy seeing people say that. I'm like, you got to try at some point.
Okay, I
I
agree.
don't. I
Go
oh,
ahead.
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say it just. I don't know if there is a way that you could really balance it out to keep the numbers even. I mean, again, going off of what real war would be, you're gonna have times when you're outnumbered. Yeah, do I get irritated and frustrated with the how orders outnumbered a lot at the times when I play? I keep in mind, hey, it's just what's going on. But I see it shift all the time, just like it would in real war. One side may keep the upper hand for a little while, then the other side. You just have to, yeah, to some degree, you have to be adaptive and make the best of what you got.
I agree with you in that aspect, in the sense of adapting and just pushing forward. The issue is, though, and I don't know how there would be any solution to this, and that would be, how would you change the mentality of players who just say, okay, we're outnumbered, let's say 10-5, 10-6, to try. I think currently on this server, in my opinion, there's no way of changing that mindset. How would you go about changing that mindset if you even wanted to try?
If I was going to try and change the mindset, one of the ways that I could see maybe motivating the underdogs to fight harder would be to increase the prospect of reward at the end. Give them a reason to fight that to the absolute end. My mindset going into a fight, the only way I'm leaving this is when this place is torn down around my ears and I'm dead. Period. I dig in and I won't leave. About the only time I do back out or back off is when the warband just finally says, "Hey, we've done all we can. Move on." Fair point. Some point you have to realize it's just unwinnable. But I can't stand the give up attitude. I'm like, no, fight to the end. Make them pay for every square inch of ground they take, and you take as many of them with you as you can.
Again, though, that's your point of view from how you would like to play the game. How would you try to motivate others? I mean, what type of reward system would you like to see to help motivate others?
Honestly, I think something that would be nice to see, and I did like this idea about the bag loot and stuff, put gear in it. I would say to try and incentivize getting people to fight in the zones, maybe bring gear items
Eve, thank you
back,
very much, though,
or
for the
something that Max
subscription,
touched
man. Thank
on
you
with
very much.
how they could reskin mounts. Put in a permanent mount, maybe, or gear, something that's rare, that's not easy to get. Put it in as an additional reward. Give people a reason to, like, I want that.
Okay, so the other, not that I want to argue against with you, but from my point of view, when talking, I call it the carrot system, is what I like to call it, the carrot
Yeah,
system.
it's essentially that's what it is. It's a carrot system. Sometimes you've got to basically dangle something in front of people to motivate them to fight, to galvanize them to fight.
Okay, so in the carrot system, in my point of view, though, once somebody has that carrot, may that be the mount, may that be the gear or whatever, what incentive would they have to fight again if they don't need anything else? It's the
Well, then
same boat, right?
the thing there is that you would have to rotate it. You could How you could do it, like some of the skins and cosmetic weapons and looks, armor set skins and stuff. If the skins can just simply be changed, put that in as a reward. There's 90% of this population that would, especially on Destro's side, that would kill to be able to diversify their chaos look, to wear the colors of the different chaos gods instead of being corralled into one particular aspect. You could change it up. It might be the same weapon look, or it just might just be a cosmetic item that you could, you know, for appearances and nothing more. But you could change up different ideas. I mean, Max was touching on some solid things that they're working on, so I'm willing to wait and see. But that would be how you would do it. Is just simply change up the reward at a set frequency so that it gives a reason to keep people fighting.
And you would give this reward as a bonus towards the underdog side or towards all players?
Towards I would say put it as a slightly higher chance of getting it for the underdog, but make it available to both sides, just to try and, in the interest of being fair. I would just make sure that the underdog side had a little bit higher probability of getting it. I'm
Okay.
not saying increase it to the chance where it's going to drop guarantee. I'm just, put it as a random chance to drop. It just has a little bit slightly better chance of dropping for the underdog as opposed to the population that's, overloaded.
Okay. So, kind of in a different question, a different thing, but similar to what we're talking about. Do you prefer the crest system now and what drops now, or do you prefer how it was before?
Honestly, I like the crest system now. The thing that I noticed with the old coin system is, quite honest, by the time you get enough of any one token or medallion together, you'd already out leveled the usefulness of it. So to me, the war crests are better because it doesn't matter what level you're PvPing at, you're going to get the war crest, and ultimately it will go towards the gear set that you're after. Now, what I do wish I would see them do completely, and I think this was kind of half thought out, was with the previous gear set. So anybody that was like at Invader or Sovereign set, and I know many people have got Sovereign gear many times over, they really should have took out the prerequisite altogether and not have to back buy items, because that's just, I'm sorry, but that was just a bad mistake.
Have you tried rolling a new tune since a new system?
I've got new level 1 characters I've played. I've got an engineer that's like level 8 that I'm working on.
Okay.
So go ahead.
I was gonna say I only asked that to get your point of view about, because I know on the forums and from other players that they feel that for new players the new system is essentially much harder way of going about it. So I wanted to get your point of view, but if you're at a level 8, you might not have an opinion on that yet, or do you have an opinion?
Honestly, from what I've seen of it, and I've been watching even some people that play low level characters, and I've watched them as a level, I haven't heard any of them have a problem with it or seen them have a problem with the war crest. They've actually enjoyed the new system as opposed to what it used to be, where you had to collect so many different ones depending on what you were doing.
Okay. So for the new system, um, increasing the drop rate would be something that you would certainly do for the underdog side, correct? Of Crest?
Yeah, yeah. I'd be willing to try it and see how it goes, gauge it, and see if it's a good viability. If it doesn't work, then take it out. I don't want to upend things even more. I want to try and fix the issue, or see the issues fixed that are plaguing the server. I mean, most of us would agree that, there's legit issues that need to be addressed, that it should have been addressed well before now, and it's just, yeah, improvements are being made, but at the same time, it's like you're taking one step forward and 10 backwards.
Okay. So what else would you do to incentivize besides, let's say, increasing drops for Crest? What other steps would you like to see implemented if you have any ideas?
As far as other ideas to incentivize it, I'd have to sit down and actually think out some
Jane,
pros and
thank you for the
cons
YouTube
on it,
subscription, man.
spend some
Appreciate
solid
that.
time, look at numbers, and that ultimately get feedback from the community, and then go by what the community is actually wanting, not by what one person is deciding. So if unfortunately, in my experience with working with other dev teams, because I've done work with other actual dev teams on other games, is you have to listen to your community and then make a majority decision. And unfortunately, there's going to be those people that are going to say, well, why didn't you cater to me? It's not about catering to you, to the individual. It's about what's in the best interest of the community as a whole. And unfortunately, you're not going to make everybody happy. So as far as any additional incentivizing, before I'd even consider it, I would literally talk to the people that play the game, hear out what they've got to say, if it's a legitimate idea, and then go from there.
Okay, got you. That's actually awesome feedback that I think the community, majority of the community, would probably agree with. I would think. Now on a different note, still about Warhammer, is what type of gameplay do you prefer? Do you prefer the solo aspect, small man aspect, or the warband aspect?
Honestly, all of the above.
Morning, man.
Solo play can be interesting, like if you're depending on if you're in say in a combat situation.
Right, you do.
KV,
And I have
to
not forgotten about
put
you
it
guys'
bluntly.
questions. I will ask those
You got a
questions.
solo person that's out there. They could be your eyes and ears. They don't have to necessarily fight, but what they see and what they relay to the war bands and stuff is no less as important. Knowing your enemy's strengths, weaknesses, movement, all that stuff is very key to winning a fight. Small teams, small roaming teams, ganker squads, mercenary groups, however you want to look at it, they're equally as important because they serve a function. They can harass the enemy. They can take an objective, back cap. And then you have your war bands, which essentially are your punching power. Now, when you have all of those different aspects working together, it proves to be very effective and to devastating effect of the other side if the other side doesn't know how to combat it. And I've seen both sides do it. Destro has a tendency to do it more than Order because Order constantly hamstrings itself because they won't communicate. You've got the pre-mades that have this insane mindset that they're better than everybody else, and that's just not the case. They may work better together, but you are not, God Almighty is how I put it. Because I've seen plenty of the pre-mades get their asses handed to them.
Oh, for sure, for sure. I mean, pre-mades can only go so far on their own, but if they're not playing, in my opinion, if they're not playing a team-based objective as a faction as a whole, it's self-serving in my opinion.
That's true. It's a true point, and I've seen pre-mades do that. They'd rather throw the zone if they don't get what they want out of it than to actually help. I've seen. I mean, I hate to throw names out here, but one of the guilds I've seen do this, Formosa, KV, 3 order war pugs or 3 order war bands, all pugs. We were fighting our asses off to take the keep. We pushed the outer and we're getting ready to set up on inner. Destro brought in more, and we literally watched Formosa's pre-made sit on the damn ridge and do nothing. Destro didn't attack them or nothing. Formosa simply left. And a lot of the people that were playing that day that I still talk to, that's why we don't want nothing to do with Formosa. We're like, if we see them in a zone, we don't even bother asking them because we count them as disloyal. They can't be trusted.
Okay, I don't play a lot of warband stuff, so I don't have the personal experience that you may have in that regard. But some people would view, let's say, my play style as being selfish, as being, let's say, a small man or a solo player, that I don't really do a lot for the overall objective of the gameplay. Is your point of view that a solo player or a small man, let's say a duo or a trio group, can really truly contribute, or do you think that's more of a selfish mindset as well? And I mean, be honest with what you want to.
Anybody anybody can contribute whatever level they want to, a solo player or a small group. You don't have to be in a full war band to be successful. It would be insanely arrogant for me to say that. I've seen people from solo to small groups that have made, in some ways, have clinched a victory simply with this. They do just enough that it causes just enough annoyance to the other side that they have
It's
to
a guild I've
devote
seen, Rob.
people to that, and it pulls
I
people
won't
away from the
comment
main
about him now.
objective. I don't think, truthfully, how I feel on solo players though, if you have those, if you're out like all the time solo and you just refuse to do anything to work with the group, then I see that as counterproductive, and I'm like, I understand wanting to fight and get your kills and do what you want to do is fun, but you're playing an objective based game. If you do not contribute in any way, if you do not attempt to help the fight, you're hindering it. So either get the hell out of the way or fight. That's my view on it, and I say that to everybody. I'm not calling anyone out. I understand wanting the solo aspect, but keep in mind, if you solo, your odds of dying are through the roof. So you might as well get used to it. And I've seen a number of people that have bitch about, well, I want 1v1, I want 1v1. It's not going to happen unless you can find some remote area in one of the RVR zones to fight 1v1. It's just not going to happen. More often than not, you're going to get ganked.
Very true. I know that from first-hand experience.
And it just, you have to keep that in mind. So if you want to solo, fine, solo and knock yourself out. More power to you. I hope it works for you. But just keep in mind, you're playing an objective based game. So, if stuff goes sideways, you can't sit there and complain, well, why can't they do this? This game is not designed around 1v1 combat.
Fair
It
enough.
is a possibility, and you do it quite well, Tosh. I've seen you solo. I've seen you do your thing. I just don't agree with it sometimes because things that I've seen you do, you get insanely mad when it's not. You like the solo aspect, and I don't fault you for it, but you're also quick to jump on others about standing around, which I get. People that AFK in war camps and stuff, everybody dislikes them. People that AFK in battles, same thing. But you, at times, my friend, it's like you want it to be one-on-one in every fight. It just don't happen.
Oh, fair enough. I mean, I really appreciate the honesty there, and from my point of view, I wouldn't say I would like to have every 1v1. It is a little weird, from my perspective, to be a mostly solo player. I have been delving more into, let's say, duos and trios recently, but yes, I do prefer the solo play. And I do understand that, how does someone like myself, who prefers the solo play, get mad at players who don't wish to fight when I want to fight on my own? I fully understand where it could be seem like, what is he complaining about? He wants to do his own thing, but then you want to complain about other players not helping the overall objective. I understand that criticism. I really do. And that is a fair criticism. I mean, I do get really upset when people, let's say, stand around at, in keeps, or don't leave the objectives, or don't do certain things, and watch me fight, 1 versus 5. It gets frustrating, but again, I'm choosing to play the way that I choose, and it's my own fault. So I can't be too mad at players, but I get it.
Again, I get your play method. I mean, for me, okay, to throw this out here, and most people don't know this. One of the main games I used to play is Sea of Thieves. I played a lot on a solo slooper. I got to the point where I would fight alliance groups or alliance ships. Basically, I'd have like 8 people to just me. So you learn new ways to do things, and in that game, a solo slooper can be really effective if they want to be. It just depends on your play style. So I get that aspect of it. You play what you enjoy. And on the same token, if I see somebody, sitting there that's supposed to be fighting and helping out, and I'm sitting here fighting 5, 6 other people, I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Get off your ass and fight. And people are like, oh, he's raging. I'm like, it's not that I'm raging. I'm just pissed off that, I'm already fighting my ass off because here's the objective that maybe need to be defended, or I'm trying to take a point, and this person does nothing. But then they get a reward out of it for just sitting there. That drives me crazy. Because honestly, how I view that person is you're a coward. And I can't stand a coward.
Yeah, no, I fully understand that. And the reason, just in a little bit of a backstory on myself, just so, your viewers or my viewers may understand my point of view. I know this is about you, but just to try to explain myself a little bit is I couldn't do what you do. You have a very, I don't want to say temperament of leading. I've seen you lead pug war bands and stuff. I couldn't do it. Only because of that exact same thing you're talking about. I would be constantly looking at the map and say, why are you, let's say, halfway across the map and you're not with us? Okay, you're booted. And I'd be spending 3/4 of my time booting people because they're not with us, or not following, they're not listening, they're not pushing. And to me, that ruins my fun in doing something like that, which is one reason why I prefer the solo or slash, duo trio gameplay.
Well, it's a fair point. I mean, yeah, I'll lead war bands here and there, and a lot of times I'll offer advice because there's people that I run with in a lot of the pugs that they're used to me by now, and they're like, "Hey, we know you know how to lead." Yeah, I do, but I want to see others step up to the plate too. I'll sit there and offer advice, sure, but I just, yeah, it gets annoying, and you have to devote a lot of attention to warband leading and pay attention to a lot. If you got people that are AFKing, that are not, not staying with the group, sure, you're gonna kick them. But the other thing that helps ease that burden, and something that I've tried to encourage when you're warband leading, get you a strong assistant. Look for somebody that's a natural leader within the war band that people will rally around, and get them to help you. And listen to what they say. Work in tandem with one another, and you will see a hell of a difference in how that war band operates.
Fair point. Fair point for sure. I'm gonna go to a couple questions that my stream has asked. So we're gonna kind of change the topic a little bit
Fire
here.
away.
So the first one is, what is your favorite class in game? They assume Dawi, but what is your favorite class in game overall?
Honestly, I don't have one. I kind of enjoy multiples. I've always liked playing a healer, but I also like playing mobile artillery,
Keep
aka the
asking more
Bright
questions, boys and
Wizard.
girls.
I don't care for the Archmage. I like to blow stuff up. So, probably the next character you'll see me level will be my Bright Wizard.
So you're certainly, are you more DPS mindset, or does it not really matter to you?
Doesn't really matter to me. I'm the type player, I'll play what's needed. If the group says, hey, we need a tank, I'll play a tank. If they need a healer, I'll play the healer, and so on. That's why I tend to level so many alts, is that way I offer variety and versatility of what's needed. I don't go by what I'm wanting to actually do. I go by what the group says, hey, because I want to succeed at what we're doing.
Awesome. Okay. Second question is kind of a follow up, and that is, from a Dawi character point of view, which one is your favorite?
Tank.
Pardon me?
Tank.
Tank. So Ironbreaker.
Yeah, basically the immovable object. I've built my Ironbreaker to basically be a roadblock. And my mindset is, all right, I'm not moving. The only way you're getting me out of here is to kill me. And that's it.
Okay. So you want to be the big block in the road, big block in the doorway.
Pretty much. That, or I'm crazy enough that even as an Ironbreaker, even if, no matter how the fight's going, if it takes it, I'll literally cannonball right into the middle of Destro and do anything to disrupt what they're doing. And I do it when the situation needs for it, but
I will do the name change
I think
a
I'm one
little
of the
bit
few
later on.
tanks that
Don't let me
actually is
forget.
crazy enough that will jump right alongside the Slayers, keep the Slayer guarded, and just cause as much havoc as I can with their healers.
Okay. So you certainly are a disruptor in a coordinated aspect.
Yeah.
Crashing.
Unless you tell me to go Mad Dog, and then I just don't care, and I'll keep charging at you. Even if you keep killing me, I'll keep coming, and it basically lets the person know then no matter what you do, I'm
I think I
not
just
gonna
lost my
stop.
flag.
So I'm going to be a constant thorn in your side.
Awesome. Okay, no, I fully get that. I just crashed. I'm logging back in the game.
No
So,
worries.
another question is, what is the one thing, if there's anything that makes you the most angriest in the game, what would that be? If there is one thing.
Honestly, about the only thing that really gets under my skin is, well, there's two things, and they're linked together. One, server lagging, and two, getting stuck on random little stuff and the unstuck command doesn't work worth the crap.
Okay, so basically just terrain issues and UI problems.
Yeah.
Okay. If there is something that you would like to see implemented or changed, what would that be?
That's a good one there. Trying to think on that one.
Okay,
Sorry, I'm kind of neck deep in a fight and I'm by myself.
no problem.
Uh, hmm.
I can come back to it.
I guess the one thing I would love to see on the server to really help things would be something to address the instability with the server crashing and the lag out. That would increase my enjoyment in the game because it does
What's up,
kind
Tidum?
of sour the mood when you're in the middle of a fight, you're in a fort, God forbid, and all of a sudden the game decides to crash. Not because of your computer, but because the server just freaks out and takes a dump on itself. Which I've had that
Ice Blue?
happen many times,
Okay,
and I know
Van,
there's
don't let me
plenty of us
forget
out
that.
there that have had that,
In
and
fact, I'll
it
go do it right
drives
now.
you absolutely crazy, especially with the new weeklies and everything else. It's just like for a minute you just like go Hulk mode, and you're like, smash.
By the way, Tibdom says hello.
Hello, Dibdom. All right, well, I guess this is about to be another white fest on this one.
Okay, and then another thing someone else had wanted to ask in regards to a conversation we had before, and that is, what do you think is worse for the server? If everybody played solo, or you had a lot more solo players, or you had guilds forming but they were cross-realming consistently? What would be worse in your opinion?
The cross realming, to be honest. After what I've seen it put, what effect it's had before the patch, the cross realming.
Do you think there's any solution uh, for cross-realming, or do you think it is a problem that can never be fixed?
You can fix the issue, and I've seen it done on some other games. The problem is that it's a very unpopular fix, and it's in the short term, it's a negative impact. In the long term, it works almost every time because overall people will come back. The problem is that the short term problem, you're going to see you'd see a lot of people leave.
Okay, what
I
about?
want it to put it in perspective. You would essentially have to put a population lock. So if one side's already ridiculously overpopulated, that means anybody else logging in would have to jump to the other side. I do like a suggestion that was put
What
forward
was your
during the
lore
Q and
question?
A, and I think it has merit and it would need some work. But I would say for times when the population is imbalanced, make a neutral third party faction that people could play while they're waiting on the unlock. Yeah, I'm not saying it's a perfect fix, and like I said, it would need a
He said
lot of
Ironbreaker.
tweaking to make it work right,
Oh, I'll re-ask him.
or make a third faction playable. Throw in Skaven. Seen plenty of people ask for it. Throw in Skaven, make it the third faction, and that way it might help to keep things even instead of it being, some mornings I've seen where it's 70% order, and then I've seen mornings where it's
I got you,
70%
Ref.
destro.
Yeah, I mean, so the population difference is certainly something that's really huge. I mean, if we take a look at right now, if we look at the population right now,
Oh,
Sorry,
right
I'm
now
bringing this up.
it's sitting at 56% destro and 44% order.
Yeah, so that's a 12% difference right there. So in your way of thinking, or in your idea, you would put a cap on that. The only issue is that correct? You'd put a cap on it.
That's one possibility. The idea of putting in a third faction as a playable faction that way it could kind of try and help even out the other two would probably be the better way to go.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
As far as making how to make it work, I don't know. That's why I said it would take a lot of effort.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, the third faction. I think Max talked about that a little bit. You know, it's
He did.
yeah the work needed to do that would be extraordinary.
Yeah.
And I think the issue with putting a cap on the faction would be, how would you determine, or how would a server determine if you're a PvE player or if you're a PvP player?
It wouldn't. That's the downside to it. I mean, you basically it would be going off the principle, okay, well this many people are on destro, so until it evens out on order, no more destro can log in. It would basically be a governor that would just be it'd be like I guess a 1-1 ratio, or you could do it in increments of 5, 10, or how many ever you want to set it to. Point being is that it would not let any more log on until that number evened out.
Okay.
So, and again, the short term is that it would agitate people. A lot of people would stop playing because they feel like, well, I want to do what I want to do with no restriction. In the long term, people would see it as, okay, well, this is actually going to work out for the best because it'll keep the population stable and you won't have it to where one side is just massively overwhelming the other. Plus, it would put a damper on your X-Realmers because they wouldn't be able to shift as frequently as they do with the intention of upending the zones. Now, I don't care if people play both sides. I don't. It doesn't faze me. What irritates me is when people do it with the intention of essentially handicapping one side. And that I've seen done plenty of times. It's like the other day in Calidor. We had somebody on an alt and they admitted to it in front of everybody. They literally spawned the ram, took the ram, and then jammed it down in a gorge with the intention of, oh, well, we're going to screw order over so they can't do anything. That's the kind of mindset and behavior that's not needed.
Yeah, but that type of mindset, I don't think there's no change that can happen to make that player not do that, in my opinion.
Oh, you could, but it would require more effort on the end of the devs. And there's things that you could implement to keep people from creating and playing on other accounts. Because you can do hardware IP bans that would actually lock out the hardware. So once they're banned, that's it. They're done. They're not coming back. And I know that from my years of working in the computer industry and dealing with situations like that. You can do an IP, you can do a ban that you're not getting around, not with a VPN or anything else.
Very true, Ralph. Okay, another question we're going to go back that somebody that I missed is, in the form of lore, what is your favorite Dawi character in lore aspect?
Mm, hmm. I'd have to say, well, hmm. Let me think on that one because that's a tough one. Depending on, probably say the Slayer with the lore.
There's always ways around things, Doom. Always, always. So Slayer in the forms of Dawi lore, Slayer is your favorite, you would say?
Yeah, I'd have to say it'd be the iron. It'd be like the king's personal guard. His I can't remember the exact name. Basically, his honor guard would be the next step.
Okay, so again, I have a very lore centric people in my stream. They want to know any specific Slayer. Is that what you're talking about right now? The honor guard or the guard Slayer? Is that a specific?
No, the honor guard that I'm referring to is the honor guard of the High King. His basically they are the unit that They won't break. They will fight to the absolute last. Depending on the particular hold, some of them wield hammers, some of them wield mining pickaxes and stuff. They're basically, in a way, they're essentially like shock troops. They're usually the best fighters in the bunch. They're also made up of the senior most Dowie in the clan.
So like shield breakers. My stream is going nuts over here. So like shield breakers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Another question we have is Tibden wants to know if you're interested in running a campaign for one shot at a Warhammer Fantasy role playing 4th edition.
I have to take a hard pass on that because I've got a lot of other stuff going on. I couldn't devote any more time than what I'm already doing.
Okay. I'm sure he'll cry himself to sleep.
It's a nice idea, and if I had the time, sure, I would try it. But I'm already stretched thin as it is.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so now kind of going back to you personally here, do you have anything that you want to plug? Your YouTube channel, podcast, Twitter, anything on the personal side that you want to plug?
Not really. I mean, I've got Twitter, which is how I usually get alerts out, or I'll just share a random thought of the day on there, or I communicate to people. I honestly, everything's tied through my Twitch channels. It's like, if people want to talk to me, if you hit my Twitch channel and hit my Discord, I've got it tied to my phone. So 9 times out of 10, I'll answer, even if I'm not streaming.
And what is your Twitch channel name?
Tothmonra. Hold on a second, cause I know that I call them the honor guard. I know that's not what their actual name is.
Trumpet, thank you for the thank you, man. Thank you for the follow. Okay, so anything that you want to add before we let this go? I know you're probably doing a fort right now, so I don't want to keep you
we're
too
on the
busy.
losing end of it. The only thing that I would add to the community, to your streamers or to your chat, is the same thing that I tell my own stream chat. At the end of the day, guys, it's a game. Try to leave in the same way that you entered. You know, you need to have your self-respect and respect for others. Even if you play different factions, whatever, still try to remember, you know, don't get mean and vindictive. I've seen what happens when people let that aspect enter into the equation. It takes the fun out of the game. So at the end of the day, remember that we're all gamers. We're here to have fun. That's really the only thing I could say.
Kazuma, thank you for the follow, man. Or Kazuma. I'm not here I'm not here for that. I'm here to kill people. I'm kidding.
I know that okay, that goes back to you being a gamer, just having fun. I'm saying, just keep in mind it's a game. Have fun with
Doom,
it.
he
Just
won't.
Don't
He won't.
carry over into the
I'll let
toxic
you know
aspect
privately
of,
why he won't.
well, I died, or I didn't get what I want, so now I'm gonna throw a bitch fit. To put it bluntly.
Fully understand. And by the way, all shammies need to die all the time.
Well, the same could be said for Slayers, because I know Slayers can be a pain in the ass when if they manage to get to the back line.
Not against shamans, they don't matter. But anyway.
Okay.
I only say that because there's a shaman in my stream.
I imagine I got quite a few shamans. I mean, hell, I'm friends with Broken Safety of the Gobbo Club. I mod for him when I'm not streaming, and he's a shaman.
Yeah. Well, Toth, I really do appreciate your time. I know you are busy playing the game as well, so I don't want to interrupt you too much. I really appreciate you stopping
You're
by.
Fine.
You know, down the road we may recircle back and do episode 2 follow-up. But for now, thank you all very, very much.